As a rule, I visit and film the actual sites of my historical videos. However, I was unable to visit the site of the Battle of the Waxhaws. To be honest, there's not much to see, as the battle was a line of infantry standing against a cavalry charge. A small park with some interpretive waysides and two monuments marking the mass graves of the men who were killed there is all that commemorates the battle. The Battle of the Waxhaw stands out due to the intense controversy surrounding the alleged massacre and its impact on the war's future conduct. For this reason, I want to tell the Waxhaw story as I continue the series of the American Revolution in the South. The Battle of the Waxhaws, also known as Buford's Massacre, is generally considered the most controversial battle of the American Revolution. The battle occurred on May 29, 1780, in South Carolina, and involved American forces under Colonel Abraham Buford and British forces under Lieutenant Colonel Banastar Tarleton. The controversy involves accusation that Tarleton's troopers massacred surrendering Americans. True or false, the claim fueled an already intense hatred between backcountry Tories and Whigs. The question to consider is, was the Battle of Waxhaw a poorly managed fight or a massacre? Factually, the battle was a major American loss in both men and materiel, but it became a psychological victory for the Americans. So let us set out the evidence. On May 12, 1780, the city of Charlestown, or later Charleston, fell to the British. Check out this video. A column of 380 troops under the command of Colonel Abraham Buford, with 23 wagons of supplies and 2 cannons, were marching from Virginia to Charlestown. When word reached Buford that the city had been captured, he withdrew towards North Carolina. In Charlestown, General Clinton was preparing to return to New York. He ordered General Charles Lord Cornwallis, who was to command the British Southern Army, to bring the rest of Georgia and South Carolina under British control. General Cornwallis, learning of Buford's column, sent Lieutenant Colonel Banastar Tarleton to destroy Buford's Continentals. Tarleton departed with 230 mounted men of his British Legion, 40 members of the 17th Light Dragoons, and 1 3-pound cannon. The British Legion was an elite British provincial regiment composed of Americans loyal to the British Crown. They were organized with an infantry and a cavalry detachment, plus a unit of the 17th Light Dragoons. The unit was commonly known as Tarleton's Legion, after its commander, Lieutenant Colonel Banastar Tarleton, who had already gained a fearsome reputation in the South. Buford was 105 miles north of the British, but the aggressive Tarleton moved his men at a rapid pace and caught up with Buford at an area along the border of North and South Carolina called the Waxhaws. Tarleton, now only 20 miles from Buford's command, sent a message demanding that the Americans surrender. To encourage Buford's surrender, Tarleton claimed he commanded a force of 700 men. To further intimidate Buford, Tarleton stated in his message, "Resistance being vain, I make offers which can never be repeated." The implication being that there would be no chance to surrender if the demand was refused. Buford, however, refused the surrender demand. He then ordered all of his heavy baggage and weapons, including artillery, to continue northward. He formed his Continentals in a single line of battle to stand against the British. The line was formed in an open wood to the right of the road. Buford ordered his men to hold their fire until the British were within 10 yards. A grave mistake. As the Patriots deployed for battle, Tarleton also arranged his force. 60 British Legion dragoons and an equal number of mounted infantry formed the right. In the center, Tarleton placed the 17th Light Dragoons and 40 Legion dragoons. They were to charge straight towards the American center. Tarleton commanded the left, which consisted of 30 legionnaires. His aim was to sweep the American right, break the reserve, and capture the baggage train. The cannon and remaining Legion dragoons and stragglers were to form the reserve. Actually, Tarleton's artillery mounts were so exhausted that they could not pull the cannon into the battle. As soon as his troops were in position, Tarleton attacked. The Continentals held their fire until the British were within 10 yards. However, the volley did not break the charge, and the Continentals were overrun by the mounted attack. The 3 attacking columns broke through the thin American line. The Battle of the Waxhaws was over in minutes. British casualties were minimal, 5 killed and 14 wounded. The Americans, however, lost 113 men killed and 203 wounded. Colonel Buford and some dragoons managed to escape from the battle. In addition to men, the Continentals lost all the supply wagons and artillery. The controversy over the battle, however, is not over. It began when the British hit the American line. There is a debate as to what actually took place. According to Patriot reports, the British deliberately killed surrendering soldiers and prisoners were executed. The British, however, state the Americans continued firing after calling for quarter. Buford claims he attempted to surrender, and some Patriot accounts report a white flag was dispatched but refused. Buford's account, however, is unreliable, since he fled the battle shortly after the American line broke. British accounts make no mention of seeing a surrender flag. In hand-to-hand combat, control of men is difficult, and both commanders were out of action as the American line broke. At the American volley, Tarleton's horse was shot from under him, and he went down. Even though he was not killed or wounded, it took some time for him to remove himself from the dead horse and regain control of his troops. During this time, Tarleton himself reported his men, thinking him dead, engaged in a vindictive harshness not easily restrained. Because of the high number of casualties, people from all over the community came to provide care. Elizabeth Jackson and her 2 sons, Robert and Andrew, were among those. The youngest, Andrew, grew up to become the 7th President of the United States. Historians and Revolutionary War enthusiasts today debate the question, did a massacre occur, or was the excessive and unnecessary deaths the result of lack of command, or was it an example of the brutal nature of the war in the Southern theater? In 1780, these stories, British soldiers killing prisoners and men attempting to surrender, were believed and fueled anti-British sentiment throughout the South. As the British advanced further into North and South Carolina, men from all over, many who would have remained neutral, took up arms for the Patriot cause. The Battle of Waxhaw became known as Buford's Massacre, and Tarleton, already feared as an aggressive commander, was now condemned as a butcher. The Battle of Waxhaw served as an effective propaganda and recruitment campaign for the Patriots. The Battle of the Waxhaw stands out because of the intense controversy surrounding the alleged massacre and its future impact on the war in the Southern theater. The men from across the Allegheny Mountains, known as the Over-Mountain Men, would later volunteer in the Whig militia, in part because of the stories they heard about the battle. At the Battle of Kings Mountain in October 1780, these backcountry frontiersmen would attack the Loyalist army, crying, "Remember Waxhaw." These 3 flags were captured during the battle and remained in the Tarleton family until sold at auction in 2006 for more than $5 million. Thank you for watching this video. It is greatly appreciated. If you enjoyed this video, please like, comment, and subscribe.